Welcome back, YouTube. Can you make some extra cash with little investment and minimal skills? I think I found a way to do it. Interested? Keep watching. Right, this is probably sixth time I'm starting that video. I'm trying to make it different. Trust me, it's not easy. Making videos, it's not easy. You want to start your own YouTube channel? Good luck. You're making videos and then you get, by the way, that camera is pretty cool, right? It's gonna follow me now around. And you make a video, you love it, and then you get 150 views on it. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is sharing. I really like to share stuff with you guys, so let's come up with something new. YouTube absolutely hates me, so let's mix it up a little bit. Let's change it. Let's make algorithm. Let's shock the algorithm. Yeah, let's call it like this. Let's shock the algorithm. What you cannot expect from this channel. I think I've said that previously, and I've tried it, and I just simply cannot do it. So you cannot really expect that you're gonna get one of those videos, just make this and get rich. Nope, it's not gonna happen. I don't enjoy it. I cannot really make videos like that. It's not gonna be sustainable for me. So we're coming up with some stuff. It's easy to do, but it's not gonna cost you nothing. Okay, so you need to invest some money. You need to get something which will help you make these things faster, and it's going to be fairly easy. Today's theme is camping game. Stuff you can play where there's no mobile or Wi-Fi signal, or whenever your kids got a screen ban. I think that this is going to be a great seller, either online, at festivals, or markets, whatever rocks your boat. What we'll need. You can probably make these with a scroll saw, or, well, I probably wouldn't make them by hand or using a hacksaw. No. So you need something really precise. You can probably use scroll saw, you can probably use bandsaw, but I am going to use a 3D printer. Why? Because every single time I press print, the product's going to be identical. It's not going to be the entire product, it's going to be part of the product, but it needs to be really precise. So in today's video, you're gonna get 3 different products in 3 different levels of difficulty. Let's start with level 1. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this time we're starting the build process a little differently. We're using Fusion 360, a software commonly used to design products and export them in formats suitable for 3D printing. This is the stage where precision really matters. But don't worry, it's not as complicated as it might seem. With just the basics, you can design a product like this. What you're seeing here is me using simple tools like Sketch, Extrude, Press Pull, and Combine. If you haven't used Fusion 360 before, I've included links to print-ready files I'm working on here in the video as well. Let's move on to the Bambu Lab Studio software. By the way, this isn't a sponsored video. I'm just using Bambu Lab because it's easy to set up, affordable, and user-friendly. The printer you're about to see cost me around £170, which is roughly $200. On top of that, it's super easy to check how much each part of the project will cost to print. Cool, let's dig into some details. If you take a look at the slicing result for these Tic Tac Toe blocks, you'll see it'll take about 3 hours and 51 minutes to print and cost around $3.70. Of course, the cost will vary depending on the price of your filament. Make sure that before you commit to printing all the parts, you've tested at least one of them first. Otherwise, you're risking not just wasting money, but more importantly, wasting your time. A laser engraver is an optional tool you might want to consider. It lets you customize your products by adding logos or a custom text. You don't need it to get started, but I definitely recommend adding it to your future wish list. Now it's time to put some woodworking tools to use. Here I'm roughly cutting this cedar shingle to shape. Using CA glue, I'll then glue it to the body of our Tic Tac Toe game and trim it using a flash cut router bit on a table router. These are all pretty straightforward steps that any beginner woodworker should be able to follow. As you can see here, I'm masking the 3D printed game body to protect it from scratches. The flash cut bit I'm using tends to vibrate quite a bit, which can cause some damage. It's time to put everything together. The final step is gluing the circle and cross inlays into the Tic Tac Toe blocks. Remember, you don't need much glue, and try to keep it as clean as possible. CA glue residue is almost impossible to remove from 3D printed parts. Let's add up all the costs and figure out how much we can sell this item for. The total cost of the printed parts came to £8.65, and that's because I used a fairly expensive filament. I'll add an estimated £1.35 for the glue and scrap wood, bringing the total to a nice round £10. Looking through Etsy, I found similar products listed anywhere from £27 to £55. So let's average that out and price ours at £32.50. That gives us a solid markup of 225%. And that is not a bad result, right? But let's have a look at project number 2. And we are back in Fusion 360 for this project. But this time we only need to design one simple element. We'll start with a cube measuring 18 by 18 millimeters and round off the edges. Then just copy it 3 times as shown in the video and combine all of the elements into a single body. Now let's move over to Bamboo Studio app and copy our element 18 times to fill the entire build plate. Since our puzzle cube is made up of 54 pieces, we'll need to repeat this step 3 times. Each print takes around 4 hours, which gives us plenty of time to work on the cube's enclosure. It's time to do some woodworking. Let's assemble the first layer of the puzzle to get a sense of how big the enclosure needs to be. We're not doing any fancy joinery here, but it needs to be a bit stronger than a basic butt joint. So we'll go with a half-lap joint. When transferring your measurements, make sure to account for the thickness of the enclosure walls. It's always better to measure twice. Now it's time to be extra precise. Try dry fitting your enclosure first to figure out exactly where your half-lap joints need to go. Once you're ready, check the thickness of your boards and mark it clearly. This will make it much easier to set the correct blade height on your table saw. One important thing to note: you won't get a clean, accurate results using a standard off-the-shelf blade. To do this properly, you'll need a flat top table saw blade. It's essential for a quality finish. The half-lap joint is probably one of the easiest joints to make, but it also strong enough for this project. To make things easier, clean up the joint with a chisel after removing the excess material on the table saw. It's much easier to sand everything before gluing it up. That way you can make sure you don't miss any spots. Apply a thin layer of glue to both surfaces you want to join, then clamp them securely to prevent any shifting while you move the piece around. Just a few steps left before the piece is ready for shipping. First, make sure to sand off any glue residue. It's also a good idea to break all the sharp edges using a fine grit sandpaper. The last thing you want is for a customer to get a splinter from your enclosure. Finally, finish the enclosure with a varnish or a hard wax oil like the one I'm using in this video. Cool, let's talk numbers. The 54 puzzle pieces costs £7.11, plus £2.89 for glue and scrap wood, bringing the total to around £10. There's nothing quite like this on Etsy right now, which gives us a unique edge. I think £30 is a fair price, giving us again a strong 200% markup. 200% markup is a great result. Ready for the most difficult project? Let's look at project number 3. This project starts with a vector drawing. We'll design a labyrinth and export it as an SVG so Fusion 360 can read it. If you're not familiar with vector design yet, don't worry. I'll include a link to the project files in the video. There is no need to go over Fusion 360 and Bamboo Studio again. I already covered them at the start of this video. Let's just enjoy the build without unnecessary interruptions. I promise to drop comments on any important steps worth noting. For this build, we'll use acrylic sheets for the top and bottom. I wanted them to be removable, so we'll install M3 heat set inserts using a special soldering iron tip. This allows the panels to be attached with M3 bolts and easily removed when needed. If your acrylic panels are slightly oversized, don't worry. You can sand them down with 120 grit followed by 220 grit to smooth the edges. Just be sure to protect the 3D printed game body with good quality masking tape. Time to drill holes between the two labyrinths for the ball to pass through. Drill halfway, flip the panel, and finish from the other side to avoid tear out. Now it's time to attach both acrylic panels and enjoy the look of this finished piece. This one's my favorite, and also the most profitable. Total cost £10. Similar items on Etsy range from £15 to £60, but pricing this at £40 gives us a solid 300% markup. The best of today's projects. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and I'll see you in the next one.